do the problems that ask you to represent reasoning without unpacking it. So here's an example of this kind of problem that was on your practice problems. If Zuku won the war, then Ozai lost. If Aang learned from Zuku, then Zuku won the war. Aang learned from Zuku unless Katara didn't let him. Katara let Aang learn from Zuku. Therefore, or so, Ozai lost the war. And the first thing to do is to assign each proposition a letter. So here we have Zuku won the war. Assign that to A. Here we have Ozai lost. Assign that to B. You can assign the letters, any proposition to any letter, but then when you do your representation of the reasoning, you need to make sure you're using the letters correctly. So here we have Aang learned from Zuku. Here we have Aang learned from Zuku again. That's a mistake. And then here we have Katara let him. So A then B. If Zuku won the war, then Ozai lost. So Zuku won the war, then Ozai lost. C then A. If Aang learned from Zuku, then Zuku won the war. C or not E. Either Aang learned from Zuku or Katara didn't let him. And then E. Katara let Aang learn from Zuku. So Katara let Aang learn from Zuku is there. And then the conclusion is Ozai lost the war, which is B. So this would be an answer to this question. You would have each letter assigned a proposition, and then you'd represent the reasoning. That's the answer. That's all you need to do. You need to show that you can represent the reasoning. Now, if you wanted to go further, you could. You won't get extra credit or anything, but if you want to see that the argument is valid, you can do the unpacking thing. And the way you would do that in this case is like this. You would say, this is one way to do it. You would say that I know that C is true. How do I know C is true? Well, 3 says either C is true or E is false. 4 tells me that E is true, which allows me to get rid of that, which leaves me with C. Now that I know C, I can conclude A because I know C and I know C gives me A, so then I conclude A. And here I say, well, I know A and I know A gives me B, so I conclude B, and that's how it works. So this is demonstrating that this is a valid argument, but you didn't need to do that to solve the problem. All you needed to do was what's over here. Now, I just want to show you real quick that you can, in fact, do this kind of problem another way. So it's equivalent, and if you want to do it this way, it's fine. I'm just going to type over top of what's here so that you can see this. So imagine I did it like this. Instead of saying, drawing as my first conclusion, let me move this up so you can see. Instead of drawing C as my first conclusion, I could go like this. I could say, well, I know A gives me B, and I know C gives me A, which means that C is going to take me to A is going to take me to B, therefore C is going to take me to B. And that would be a conclusion from 1 and 2 by hypothetical syllogism. Now I come down and need to draw my next conclusion. Sorry, the computer is acting slow here. Once I have C gives me B, then I can say, okay, well, I know C is true because of 3 and 4, so I can do the same kind of thing I did before. Say C is true. That's a conclusion from 3 and 4 by disjunctive syllogism. And I can then say, okay, 5 is true. Why? Because I know C here, and I know over here, I know up here that C gives me B. So I can conclude B as a conclusion from A and C. Or sorry, A and B. Okay, that's just another way to do the same problem. That would be another experience. All right, let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to come down here to this problem. This problem says I can conceive of my mind apart from my brain. I'm going to call that A. And then if I can conceive of my mind apart from my brain, then my mind isn't the same thing as my brain. Well, I can conceive of my mind apart from my brain is still A, but my mind isn't the same thing as my brain is new. I'm going to call my mind is the same thing B. And then I have if my mind is physical is new, so I'm going to call that C. Then it's the same thing as my brain. I've already called being the same thing as my brain B. Therefore, my mind isn't physical. Well, I've already called my mind is physical C, so this would just be not C. So I've labeled my propositions, now I represent the reasoning. Well, here's the reasoning. I can conceive of my mind apart from my brain, that's A. If I can do that, then my mind isn't the same thing as my brain, so if A, then not B. And then I have, if my mind is physical, then it is the same thing, so if C, then B, therefore not C, right? Because A is going to take me to not B. C would give me B, but I don't have B, therefore I reject C. So again, the solution for this problem is just this bit here. You don't need to sort of show how you get from the premises to the conclusion. But if you wanted to do that, it would be simple. It's just like this. I know that A is giving me not B, and I know that A is true, so I can conclude not B. I know that C gives me B, but I know now that B is wrong, so C must be wrong, and that's the conclusion. Okay, so that's this type of problem. We'll stop this video there, and the next video we'll go over a different kind of problem.